Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, Minister for Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tangi Pao, Chairman of the PUB, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you here to the launch of the Singapore Water Story. I can see this is a very serious group here. Just relax, it's going to be a nice afternoon here. As you know, some of you have been to the school before, that whenever I come to the podium, I have a rule of the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy where I only make 3 points. And my 3 points today is firstly about the Singapore water story, number 2, the global water story, and number 3, the Lee Kuan Yew School and water. For the first point, the Singapore water story, I just want to begin by saying that on the basis of very deep personal experience, I know how important this story is to Singapore. I think some of you know I served as a diplomat for 33 years in the Singapore Foreign Service, including, by the way, for 3 years I served as Deputy Chief of Mission of the Singapore High Commission in Kuala Lumpur. And I can tell you that by far the most delicate issue clearly in Singapore-Malaysia relations was the water story, and we also knew that this was not another subject of bilateral negotiations. This was a life and death issue for Singapore. And if at that point in time anybody had even said that the day might come in the future when Singapore could be independent in water supply, it would have been dismissed as a pipe dream. But that pipe dream may now become a reality, and that's why this story, the Singapore water story, is so important. And here I really want to thank the 3 authors, all of them affiliated with Lee Kuan Yew School, Cecilia, Yuga, and Nasid, for doing this brilliant job of putting together this book. Then my second point is about the global water story, and I think you all know that all over the world there's this rising concern about water challenges. In fact, one of the cliches that came out recently is that the future wars will not be oil wars, they'll be water wars. And that all over the world, new cities are emerging, mega cities are emerging. In fact, by 2025, 21 of the world's 37 mega cities will be in Asia. So what Singapore has done in its water story is really not just important for Singapore, but for the world as a whole. And again, this is a great service that Asid, Cecilia and Yugal have done. And I'll never forget that Asid's big advice to all of us, and I hope I don't take away your punchline, Asid. His punchline always is that there's no scarcity of water in the world, there's a scarcity of good public policies on water in the world. And so that, I think, is very sound advice, which is why this brings me my third point, which is that this is why the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy has decided, as you know, to set up the Institute of Water Policy. It was led very ably by Dr. Sitaram, a colleague of Bindu Lohani from the Asian Development Bank for many years. And now I'm very pleased that Dr. Dennis Richards has taken over as the new director. We actually believe that the Institute of Water Policy can do an enormous amount of good for Singapore, for region, for the world. And this is why we set it up. And if you allow me to end with a small commercial, if any of you are looking for a good cause to support and you have some checks you want to give away, please consider the Institute of Water Policy of the Lee Kuan Yew School also. So with those opening remarks, I believe after this the program will continue, and I will turn it over to our MC. Thank you very much and welcome again to this launch.
Thank you, Dean. I would like to now invite a few of our honoured guests to say a few words. First up,